Hello and welcome to Filmfolket's podcast. We that speaks today is Göran.
Johannes.
Today's movie is Zombieland, the movie in brief.
Columbus is an unlikely survivor of the zombie apocalypse, a loser shut-in who gets by using a highly specific set of rules. He soon meets the vengeful, Twinkie-obsessed Tallahassee and the cunning sibling girls Wichita and Little Rock. Together they take to the road to survive Zombieland.
That is a good summary. I like both duos, especially the first one with the two guys and the second one with the two girls. And it's kind of interesting what tactics they use to survive. And especially when it comes to the older guy that is kind of maniacs when it comes to guns and try to survive, and then we have the girls that are tricking people to get money or getting whatever they need to travel.
Yes, you have... They each have their expertise, so to speak. You have Columbus, who basically runs on his rules and thinks things through, and you have Tallahassee, who basically acts as the group's muscle, fighting the zombies and having his tricks to bring them down. And the girls, well, they have their cunning and they work out their own tricks, and you kind of left to wonder who you can trust, and it's pretty well done. It's interestingly built up in a way that I read that the movie was originally supposed to be a TV series, and you can kind of tell in the way the scenes are set up. I sometimes feel as though they kind of rush through them, and some sequences of the movie would actually do much better as a kind of a half-hour episode of a series. Things like when they're in the Hollywood Hills and they visit Bill Murray's house and find the actual Bill Murray. I think that's fuel for an entire TV episode, but it's more like a 10-minute gag. So it's once you know that, it's pretty obvious that they adapted the script from a much lengthier kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree that it could work better as a TV series, and I still like the irony, the dark comedy with it, and also when they are doing like funny stuff that one of the zombies are walking into the texts and destroying the word. So it's a clever trick that they are using with the 3D animation.
Yes, there's some striking visuals there with the way they've set up to establish the rules and everything in these short sequences. And I also think they did a really good job with the slow motion scenes. You have the intro where they do some Metallica music and a few other scenes where they have made a whole thing out of filming it in slow motion to capture movement, and I think that's really well done. It's also some very interesting use of creative lighting. Some scenes are pretty dark, but they have lit them in a way to really bring out the actors, and even in a well-lit scene, they've used shadows to obscure the shortcomings of zombie makeup and the like, while still drawing attention to the gore, and I think that's a really interesting way to shoot.
And another thing that I like with this movie is that I have brought it up before, and that is when one of the guys are either using like a garden tool or some sort
Shears
to use it against one of the zombies. you see it when he goes to the zombie, and then it cuts, and you just hear the sounds. And I always like it so much better when you feel out the imagination instead of showing everything. So it's a clever movie trick. I also like the first main character when he's both playing as a character and is also a narrator. It's a great tune to the whole story. Basically, when he are telling on all the rules that he follow and the backstory on how he got to the point where the movie starts.
Yes, you have some really good world building there, setting up the scene and really getting a hold of why the world is the way it is. And you get a good understanding of it just by some throwaway lines throughout the movie. In most zombie fiction, you basically end up with a really vague situation of why things fell apart, but I appreciate when they at least make an effort to give some basic explanation.
Yeah, they even made like a backstory of the two girls as well, that they have been tricking people since before the whole zombie outbreak to survive.
Yes, the wedding ring con, I think that was really clever. You get a good idea of how they have basically had this habitual trickery since before the disaster, and they basically just kept doing it to survive. As a genre, it's an interesting approach. Zombie movies can take many forms, and this is more of a road movie with a lot of humor. And well, like I said before, it's a concept that really works as a TV series, and I think that would have been an interesting angle to take. If nothing else, the ability to adapt the movie to a series in these days would be an interesting thing.
I was wondering what could have been done better and other thoughts. And one of the things that I think was, I don't know if it's bad per se, but it's like the two girls. I mean, they were following their rules on top when they got to the Tivoli, and then they like forgot that they was in a world full of zombies and was just starting up the old Tivoli, and with all the electricity and all the lights were flickering, and it attracted the zombies.
Yes, I can understand the basic setup to have a big dramatic finale with the zombies in a big lit up carnival place, but functionally you have had a movie where they have a pretty well established system for survival, and they know to lure out zombies from hiding using sound and all these things, and suddenly they throw all that aside. I think it works if they made more of a point that Wichita and Little Rock have this really excitable moment where they really forget about the rules, but instead they're so deliberate in setting this off. I think it would have been better to have done that scene in a more reckless attitude, so to speak, that they kind of forget what they're supposed to be doing. Speaking of rules, I also thought that if you've set up the whole situation with the movie where they survive by having rules, they spend a lot of time wasting ammo.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's was when they found this big car. I'm not a car guy, but it was basically a redneck car full with guns, and then one of the maniac guy in that duo, he was just looking in it with big eyes, and he was starting to use all the guns and shooting in the air and wasting a lot of ammo. So I totally agree. But I can also see the point when they were mourning for Bill Murray and were saluting him. But it's also waste, but I can sort of understand it.
One thing I also reacted to is something I have is a common complaint to all kinds of disaster and zombie movie media, and that's you have Wichita and Little Rock in the car, and they're talking about how they really want to take a shower. They don't even want to hear the word shower. Oh, shower, shower, shower. It's made a point that, oh, they're so dirty, they have to take a shower. But they look perfectly clean. Their hair is freshly done up. They don't look at all like they need to wash, and that's a big point in this kinds of disaster movies, that wouldn't people really turn really grimy really fast? But they never really look that way. They complain about being dirty, but they don't look the part, and nobody really gets dirty in that kind of way.
Maybe it's like a fantasy thing in the movies. Or I agree with that as well.
Basic hygiene deteriorating really fast. It should be more of a plot point. I know it is in The Walking Dead, but not enough of it. If we're talking realism. The realism of a zombie apocalypse. I know I'm asking too much. I also want to point out that director Ruben Fleischer later went on to direct the Venom movie, and also the Uncharted movie.
Okay, that's an interesting fact. I mean, what I can say about the movie, I like how all the scenes look, that they are traveling by, and also sound effects are good. I think there's believable gunshots, and also it's kind of hard to talk about costume design when it comes to modern movie. I think that's probably easier when it comes to an older movie, that they're trying to make the movie in a different time. But I think it sort of works.
I think the biggest shortcoming in modern movie and costume design is that they often make use of clothes that looks way too new. They don't look lived in any way. It's very obvious when people's clothes come directly from the costume department, rather than having been treated so as to look like something the person has been wearing for a few years.
And also I like the soundtracks that we're using, all from Metallica to all the other tunes that we have along the way. And it works very good to be a mood setter to the whole movie.
Yeah, I reacted to the carnival music near the end. It's this license-free basic track that I've heard in many different places. It's really interesting to recognize.
Can't come up with anything more. Do you have any more notes?
Just that it would have been fun to see more of Bill Murray, but I think they only had him for a few scenes. But he clearly had a good time of it, and he shows up in the sequel too.
other ideas for next time?
Well, basically to watch Nosferatu. If everyone's in on it and we can get enough people in the group to make an event.
Yeah. I wish you all goodbye for this time. Don't forget to watch, like and subscribe. Follow our social and we will see you next time.
Yeah, goodbye.